Welcome to the Propreneur Podcast, where we help practice owners become better entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Dino Watt. Well, thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate it. Both of you obviously have such a great presence online and doing some amazing things. Actually, the inspiration for this event was Shannon and I were scrolling through, I think it was Instagram last week, and came across Dr. Frost, your March Madness replacement of what you're doing there. And we were like, what's that about? And I love celebrity stuff. You know, I'm total nerd when it comes to that type of thing. So we started kind of playing with it. She's like, this is so smart. I'm totally engaged. And then I went, you know what? We got to talk to people who are engaging with their patients right now, because I truly believe that the way you're going to win right now is that continual engagement and stepping it up even more, like pumping up that engagement as much as you possibly can. So thank you both for being here. Dr. Stuart Frost, Dr. Dovi Prero, appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Glad to be here.
Well, all of you here in Facebook land, please feel free to ask questions. We want to make sure that we ask your questions. We're going to go through some conversations. I'm going to introduce both doctors in a more thorough manner in just a moment. We want to make sure that you ask your questions. We want to, if you have any comments to any resources that you have, we'd love to hear those as well, what you guys have done to find success. For those of you that don't know, my name is Dino Watt, and my business is all about helping doctors understand the entrepreneurial side of business and help them grow cultures inside of their office, help them actually win as leaders. And in a real nutshell, what I say is I help doctors succeed. That's what I do in all areas of their life. And so I'm excited to be able to be hosting another one of these Facebook Lives. Over the last 2 weeks, we've been trying to go live as much as we possibly can. I think we're in a time where the more information out there, the better. And that's all I'm trying to do, is provide more information. If you have not done so yet or seen what's happening this week, tomorrow I have another thing about social media with Avery Spencer from Marin Media Management, who's going to talk all about how to line up your entire year's worth of social media engagement in a very short period of time. She has a really cool system for that. But Friday is the day that I want you all to think about right now. Friday, I know many of you are thinking, yeah, it's SBA loan day, right? That's what everybody's thinking. No. I want you to get that. Yes, I want you to make sure you sign up for that. But starting at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, the fact of the matter is that if you aren't thinking about in one way, shape, or form going virtual with your business, you're going to be missing out, because that's where things are going to have to shift. They just will. So we've created a 7-hour-long web series here on Facebook Live for you and for your doctors, for your team members, for anybody who really wants to think about virtual. It's both dental and ortho, both dentist and orthodontist. We have some of the premier experts in the country right now who are doing stuff virtually, and we're going to be interviewing them. There's CE credit available. I'm taking a lot of vitamins and trying to get as much rest as I can, because I'm going to be on doing this for 7 hours straight. Wow. So I'm excited about that, but you have to register for 2 reasons. Number one, if you can't be there and be crazy like me for 7 hours, you're going to get, if you register, we're going to send out all the recordings of every single course to anybody who's registered, absolutely free. We just want to make sure that information gets out there. So we're going to take it down. I have my people edit it. And we're going to put it on a portal. We're going to send you the portal information, and you're going to be able to download all that for free if you're registered. The second reason is we have been approved for CE credit. We find out, I think, tomorrow exactly how many hours, but it's probably going to be around 3 to 4 hours of CE credit just for attending and watching. So we want you to be there. So, you know, I'm just excited about to bring that to you. I'm excited the stuff I get to learn. I do this really so I can learn more than anything, right? But going on to tonight's questions or tonight's topic, you know, social media is obviously something that is not just something that's out there that's a nice thing to do, but it is necessary. I read a report last year that Pepsi, the Pepsi company, spends over $1 billion on their marketing. And over the last 5 years, a majority of that money has gone to social media marketing. That's how powerful it was. If you would have talked to those companies 10 years ago, they'd have been like, oh, come on, Facebook and whatever, it's just a fad. But most companies that understand know that you have to be able to play in the social media game. What's cool about the social media game is that you don't have to have $1 billion to get involved. Matter of fact, it's free in most cases. It's about how creative you can be and how much engagement you can do. And so I wanted to bring on two people who I think are killing it in the social media game and showing us all how to win in that space. And the first person I want to introduce is Dr. Dovi Prero. And please, I'm saying that right? Prero?
Yep, that's right.
With a name like Dino, I'm kind of particular about names. So I get Dino all the time. So
Really?
Dr. Dovi Prero is from Beverly Hills. He's founded his practice in 2015, and he has focused his quality treatment on very strong outcomes and making that business a referral-based business from other dentists. It's been really, really successful. And in 2015, Dr. Prero started using Instagram to reach the public, posting cases and depth explanations of orthodontic cases. And this is something I really thought was cool. He doesn't dumb it down. He talks to the people as if he was talking to a first-year dental student. And that, I think, was really, really smart. He recommends using dental terminology, not being afraid to show the teeth. And in doing so, he's actually been able to educate and elevate his audience to the point to where last year, production alone from Instagram was over $100,000. Now, I don't know about you out there, but tell me another place where you can actually invest almost $0 or very little dollars and get a return of $100,000 into your business. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty great. Dr. Prero, how many followers do you have at this point on Instagram?
We just eclipsed 35,000 yesterday.
Cool.
So who's counting?
So 35,000. Off
Yeah.
of this viewing, over the last couple of weeks, we've had about 1,000 people watching these. If you are not following Dr. Prero, let's see if we can get that up to 36 in the next week. All right. So go to it's what's your handle?
It's Prero Orthodontics.
Prero Orthodontics makes it pretty simple. So go and check him out. Our other guest is Dr. Stuart Frost. Dr. Frost has been practicing since 2000, the year 2000. That was like the year, I think one of my kids was born in 2000. I
graduated high school that year.
That puts it in perspective. Thanks, Dovi.
Even better. So Dovi graduated high school in 2000 when Dr. Frost started his practice, and he spent the last 20 years in the quest of clinical excellence and then teaching others globally through education leadership. One of the coolest things that I like about his social media is the fact that he actually shows how he's teaching other doctors what to do. I think it's really, really cool. He's an associate clinical professor at the University of Pacific Orthodontic Program, and he lectures for Eastman Dental Center, and still he is a KOL, a key thought leader or opinion leader for Ormco. He started at Frost Smiles on Instagram. So there you go. There's his handle, at Frost Smiles, for his practice, and at Dr. Stuart Frost for his personal brand. It became very apparent that the general public reacted to these posts, and some of the cases he finished had over 500,000 views and impressions. Dr. Frost feels that his increased practice growth over the past few years can be linked directly to his social media presence and the value it adds to the public. I agree with both of those things, you guys. Thank you so much for letting us be a part of your journey by telling your story, which is what I want to get into next. Dovi, if I can start with you, my first question is, tell us first why you got into orthodontics. I think our stories are the one thing that connects most of us. So can you tell us why you chose orthodontics as a profession?
Yeah, I remember being in the chair of my own orthodontist, Dr. Sharon Durfee in Chicago. For those who are familiar with the Chicago area, Dr. Tom Graber was one of the icons of orthodontics, wrote one of the big books on it. And so she was one of his students, and I think took over his practice out in Evanston, Illinois. So I remember being in the chair and asking all these questions about, why are we using this? I even remember the sound of the mouthful that she used when she would put in the colors, And that sound itself is still very dear to me. When I remember when I first started in residency, I was like, oh, this is what it's used for. So I was sitting in the chair and I'd ask her all these questions. And I remember at the point where she was adjusting my Holly retainer and she had a 3-prong plier out and she was adjusting the labial bone. And I said, Dr. Durfee, how do you know how much to tweak it? And she said, well, Dovi, this is not, at home orthodontics. This is not Prero orthodontics, but maybe one day it will be. And so I do credit her a lot of it for my inspiration. And my mom would take us to the appointments, and then my grandfather. And then when my brothers got old enough to drive to the orthodontist, we'd plan our visit so that we wouldn't go to school in the morning because we had an orthodontist appointment. And then we'd go like at 10 o'clock would be schedule our appointment, and then we'd go out to lunch. And then it wouldn't be worth it to go to school just for a couple hours afterwards. So it ended up being a very fun day. And so I had always very positive associations with my orthodontic treatment, and having a lot of siblings and them all getting some amazing results. It was something very cool. And so I knew my heart was always settled on it. And then throughout college and then dental school, I just continued to pursue it all the way to the end.
Wow. So you were like, this has been a long journey for you. It's funny because you remember the sound of those, of the snaps. I remember the drill. So that's what made me go,
yeah.
That thing. And
but that's why when someone, not so much the smell, but when someone, when a young child or an adult, or even through Instagram, right? Why am I passionate about teaching it? Is because that same passion that was given over to me is what inspired me to seek it out. So I think that's something that's very important. And I think it's still one of like the driving forces behind my practice. And then also the part that I give back to my colleagues.
Well, and how many more people do you get to inspire with that mindset because of the reach of social media? Like that's really cool. Very cool.
You're absolutely right.
Awesome. Very cool. All right, Stuart, how about you? What was your story? If you can remember that far. I mean, we don't want to, like, if you got to break open the tablets, that's fine. But
look at the gray going on here. This is, it tells my age. Hey, first I just want to acknowledge you, Dino, for putting so much effort and time and energy into adding value to people. I know you on more of a personal basis, and I know that maybe some of those that are joining us don't know you. And I just first want to acknowledge you for working so hard. And I don't know if a lot of people understand that you're not just an influencer in the dental and space, and you just haven't written just 1 or 2 books. You've written several books, and you're a life coach. You're like this multifaceted, talented person. And I just want to say thank you for adding so much value to all of us. And, I know what it's going to take to run Friday. So really appreciate that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
And Dovi, of course. I mean, he's like my son that I'm so proud of all that you're doing in the space. And we've talked for quite some time. So I'm honored to be here with both of you. My story is interesting. I grew up with a father who was a general dentist. And my identical twin brother and I would go down to his office when we were like 12 and 13 years old, and we would play in his lab. And we'd get his Bunsen burner out, and we'd get the denture teeth and the wax, and we'd get his mercury for the fillings. We'd play with it in our hands. Yes, I remember doing that. But we were inspired to be dentists at the age of 13. And my twin brother's an endodontist. We both went to University of Pacific Dental School and graduated. He wanted to do endo, I wanted to do ortho, and we were inspired by our father. In fact, when I was about 13 or 14, my dad put some ceramic, I think they're either ceramic or probably plastic brackets on my teeth as a general dentist, and I think I had 4 on my front teeth is all I had. But the seeing that movement of teeth, and I didn't want to be a general dentist. I didn't want to grind teeth. I wanted to move teeth, and that was where my inspiration came.
Wow, that's amazing.
Although you still do a little grinding of the teeth, though.
Absolutely.
And you're pretty good at it.
I find it fascinating, the stories, how people get into their career. And of course, for people who are listening, I have my podcast, the Propreneur podcast, and I always ask the story of my guest. And I found that it usually breaks down into 4 areas where people decide their career. Number one, they have some sort of trauma, right? And that trauma helped them get through it. Number two, they're like Dovi, where they just were inspired when they were there. They're intrigued by it. It was really interesting to them, and they delve into that. Number three is it was part of the family. It was like, yeah, it's just something that was there. I saw how successful my parents were, or how much joy it brought my dad, or whatever. And then the fourth one is I had no clue what I was doing, and I just fell into it at school. Like somebody said, hey, you'd be cool. And I went, okay, sure, why not? And they did that. And I just love those stories because it's what connects all of us. I think we can all relate to those no matter what the space is for what you do. So now my question for you is this, is you obviously we're here talking about social media and how to engage with your patients. Here we are in a time where I think everyone's skill sets are being challenged. How good you are as a leader is definitely being challenged with your teams. How good you are as an entrepreneur being challenged as a business owner. And now we have this other interesting thing called social media that for the most part, I think people are like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. Or there are people who are, maybe I'll dabble in it. Or other people who are just like, I don't want to deal with it at all. You guys have chosen the space of let's do it and let's really do it, not just play around, let's do it. What was your first foray into social media, and was it good? Was it bad? Was it a disaster? Like, how did you first get yourself into social media? Dovi, let's ask you first.
Okay, so I started on Instagram when it first came out, and I used it mostly for just filters of my family. I loved the filters that I was using, and I used it personally when I first. And so I was on it for a bunch of years. And then I also thought of Facebook always as a great way to connect with people. So I always, in my mind, Facebook came out like in 2007. And I always in my mind knew that essentially like that word funnel of getting people connected and then distilling them down to the service or the product that you sell. I always thought about it as a networking opportunity. So throughout dental school, friending, it's obvious now, but back then I knew it would be a way to cultivate relationships, even if we couldn't go out to have a drink or to have dinner or lunch together. It'd be a way to virtually do that. And so I just had a hunch that would be where we're headed. And on Instagram, Instagram came out in 2010, so I was using it just for family filters and stuff like that. I have hundreds of posts from my kids, and it was a private account. It still is on my private side. And then I download the pictures and then send them off to friends and family. And then it came 2015 when one of people that I was intrigued by, a guy by the name of Dr. Miami. He was the first one really to bring the cell phone into the operatory or the OR, a plastic surgeon that would do surgeries from head to toe. And he brought it in, and it was very educational. I was actually at the MKS conference in 2015, and I was showing this page to a couple of other doctors. And then I would show them how I was intrigued by it. And I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna do this myself, and started doing a daily story on my Instagram. And it was getting a lot of very positive feedback. And people in general have just loved learning. And I talk about that. It's education. It's educating your market, educating your consumer, educating your colleague, educating the people that work at the offices that refer to you. And in doing so, it brought me a lot of satisfaction of connecting with people and also broadcasting to the world the fine-tuned details of orthodontics in our specific industry.
I think it's really interesting because there's a couple of things I want to ask you about. First of all, the transition from personal to professional, and how much of your personal brand are you bringing into the professional space? And then secondly, how do you feel the education part of what you do has helped grow your business? Because I believe that that's the number one way you sell something is educate people on something. There's great research around that. but you're now taking this education factor and bringing it down the funnel, like you're talking about. But let's just first go to transition from personal to private. How much of your private you put in your business, and your business into your private? Did I say that right? Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I think in general, it's what you're comfortable with. I kind of am more of a sharer in general. And but now my girls are old enough. I have two older girls daughters that have no interest in being on my Instagram. So they get to choose not to, but my son, David, he doesn't have that choice yet. So people will come up to him at like the pizza shop and say, "Hey, David, I know you." So, maybe a mini celebrity, but I'm comfortable sharing. I think I once heard Neil Kravitz say that, sharing about you and your family, it doesn't make you more vulnerable. It actually makes you more protected, because someone might give a 1-star review on Yelp to someone who, he's just this orthodontist that doesn't have things in order, and I had one personal bad experience with him. But if it's that person, and if it's the face of him and his family, very often when I thank my patients, even today, the post that I put up, when people write positive Yelp reviews, I say, "Thank you, my family and I appreciate it, because you're helping us and you're encouraging us," as opposed to, and that protects you, because people see that you're a father, that you're a sibling, that you're a son of someone, that you're a family person. And not for some odd reason, I think people have that willingness to trust that if you are a good father, then you are going to be a great orthodontist. And I think sharing those things help bolster your authority, and puts you in context of, I get to learn a little bit more about my provider, and confidence in that. And so we kind of toe the line between what is private and what is public, but I'm comfortable sharing. And so we'll put stuff up about the family that will highlight me as a father or as a family person, that can give credence to our personal brand. And it's not like it's necessarily as calculated as that, but that's the overall outlook that I have.
Do you post, or do you have for a business, do you have somebody else post for you? Do you have somebody in your office?
Right now, it's still all me. I delegate some of that, and this summer we'll be bringing some people on. But remember, I started this in 2015 when I started my practice. So Dr. Frost was already seeing, dozens of patients a day, and I was maybe seeing 2 or 3. So I had maybe a consult in the morning, and then somebody in the afternoon, and then what was I going to do for 3 hours? So I talked all about Instagram. That consultation. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. That's very cool. Good. Okay, so Stu, same question for you when it comes to your personal versus your professional.
Yeah, it's interesting because the reason I started on social media was because I had spent the last 15 years trying to perfect my craft, create beautiful smiles that were gorgeous and that were artistic. And it was interesting because on social media, when somebody would say on Facebook or Instagram, who's the person in the community to go see, I didn't understand why my name wasn't there more often. And it bugged the heck out of me because
you were your own best kept secret.
Yes. And so I thought, well, how am I going to change this? I have these beautiful cases. The only people who saw the beautiful cases were the ones that came into my practice.
Or your lectures.
Or my lectures. So I thought, you know what? I was watching Dovi at this young age, and he's has all this time in the world, and he's doing all this cool stuff. And I'm like, I'm going to do what he does. And I couldn't do that because I was seeing almost 100 patients a day. But what I did was I decided that I was going to start my social media and make a difference. And it was really confusing in the beginning. I kept asking people, do I do at Frost Smiles, or do I do just at Dr. Stuart Frost? What do I do? And I was trying to decide, what is my market? Who am I trying to go after? Who am I trying to put posts for? And so I felt like I'd have one for the practice that was for, that part of, my team, the cases. And then I thought, well, I'm also have a Dr. Stuart Frost brand. And so I decided to keep them separate. But I think the cool thing about this is, and I want to make this point, I think it's so important that if you're going to go down this path, realize that not everybody can be Dovi, and not everybody can have the time to do that. He's organically grown into this spot today, and he's refined what he's done. But for me, I had to have somebody do my social media on my at Frost Smiles. And so I have a gal in my practice who's a mother who understands the market, understands what we're trying to do to acquire patients. And she's one that's been doing that for us.
I think that's great. I love too that you mentioned about knowing your audience and who you're talking to. I think one of the challenges that a lot of people have with social media, just from my point of view anyway, is that they're trying to kind of throw up on everybody everything instead of being in a specific, this is what we do. Like Dovi, I love in your intro where you talked about, look, I am going to talk about technical things to educate people. I'm not going to shy away from or try to dumb down things because I want to elevate them up to what I know. And that's knowing your audience. Stuart, you have a clientele, the look of your office, the focus of your office. It has a specific look and feel around it. So you cater kind of to that type of business.
Right.
What do you guys feel is the biggest thing that business owners, especially in the orthodontic and dental space, shy away from? Why do you think it is they shy away from using the platform of social media in such a powerful way?
It's a good question. Dovi, you want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, everywhere I go, I get people, like if I go lecture, if I meet people, the orthodontists, they always ask me, okay, who's doing your social media? How, or did you hire it out? What do they do? And I think it's such a confusing topic because people think that you have to either hire it out or you have to be really creative, and it's just not the case. And I think that, if you got to have a plan. And I think social media is a long game. It's not a short game. It's not something you're going to do once a week. If you're going to go into this, I think you just have to get a plan in order. And I love, we said this earlier, you get a plan. Your webinar tomorrow sounds like you have somebody that's going to help people get a plan together that can put content out over a year's time. I think that's huge.
Yep.
I think it's really important that people understand that if you're going to go down this path, you need to commit fully to it. And realize that means that you have to have a plan that's in place so that you can make this happen. And for us, the plan was, we started off with Transformation Tuesdays. Every Tuesday, and one thing I feel like that's been really good about Dovi, and I want to just acknowledge him for this, I would go every day to see what Dovi was going to say first thing in the morning and what he was going to do that day. It was entertaining. And every day he'd be walking up to his office and saying good morning, and he had his, I'm going to help, what's our tagline, Dovi? I've already forgot it because I haven't heard it lately. Make your smile more beautiful than it
Make your
already
smile
is.
more beautiful. Yeah.
So I think that it's really important for people to say this is not a mystery, and this is something that every person can do. And if you're really busy, then you need to have somebody in your practice that's going to be in charge of this. And you realize that what you're doing is adding value to people. And I love that about Dovi because he added value. And he's also, one thing that he mentioned, I picked up on this, is that not only is he adding value to people, but Dovi's figured out a way to add value to his colleagues and to the people around him. So he's always in his posts saying, hey, go see Dr. Stuart Frost if you want to learn how to finish a case, or you want to learn about this. Go see John Graham. And I love that he is adding value to other orthodontists and other people. So there's so much to this, and I'll stop talking here in just a second, but I think it's really important that you just outline what it is you're trying to accomplish. And for us, it's Transformation Tuesday, so people can see what kind of cases we do. And they can count every Tuesday, they can count on a case that's going to be put every Tuesday. They're going to see one. If you're going to go down that path, you have to stay down that path.
Yeah, that's what I wrote down as you were talking. I wrote down consistency, right? Yeah. That's so important. Like, you knew you could get up there every day and see what Dovi's message was. Right. People know on Transformation Tuesday, they're going to see some really cool transformation. I mean, even if you just started off with the plan being, okay, I'm going to get up every day and do something.
Yes.
Or I love that you themed the day. that makes it for me, and
Yeah.
the way my brain works, it makes it so much easier to go like, okay, so it's
Yeah.
Monday, it's Motivation Monday. Okay, so I'm going to talk about this. It's Tuesday, it's Transformation Tuesday. Like, that is not just great for your social media, but for your practice as well, the way that you're actually going to run things.
Yeah.
I was going to ask Dovi real fast. I want to play off of what Stuart just said about how you uplift other doctors in your social media. Strategic, or just because that's who you are?
It's really, I mean, I would love to say that it's strategic, but it really is who I am. It happens to be an effective strategy. Dr. Frost and I met through Instagram. I believe that's how we met, just because all of a sudden I came across this guy and I'm like, wow, these are really nice cases. I haven't seen finished cases like that. That's who I want to be in 20 years. And hopefully he can help me fast track to get there sooner. And so every time he put up a post, it's kind of funny. We're both following each other. He's watching me to see what to do. And then I'm seeing what he's doing and I'm uplifting him because I said, look at this amazing treatment, and educating people about what the options out there. The only thing that I told Dr. Frost was that you have to put your watermark on things. Cause I was doing just regular Instagram searches or seeing what's coming out of my feed. And I'm seeing his case that I knew, because maybe we were going back and forth on it, without his name, and someone just stripping the content off of it. Yeah. And so now, he's got his beautiful photo and his name on the post, so that even if people do use it, which is fine, they can repost it. But then it all goes back to him. But I think, you mentioned the key is to just start. Just start posting. And I think, number one, all the answers will follow after that. If you start, you'll realize this is easy or this is harder for me. If you start, you realize this is the tempo that's easy for me. This is the tempo that's hard for me. If you start and you realize you need help, one of the things that I talk to most doctors, I would say, like, if you're 40 and under, you have a chance at doing it yourself. If you're probably 40 or over, you most likely need someone. But we're always hiring people. So the next time you hire someone, you say, right, I'm a millennial. But if you're hiring a millennial that is native to this technology, then you say the next time you hire someone, we're looking for back office help, must be proficient with Instagram. There you go. Now you have your Instagram, you have your social media coordinator. And it's usually the person that's on their phone anyways, the most that you catch on their phone, like violating office policy. That's the person who you want to do it, where you say, put your phone away, but I see you're good at it. So here's the office phone, if you like to do it that way, and start documenting the content and putting it together. Or when you have a summer intern and the person says, I want to internet your office. And I say, great. This is what we're looking for, is someone who is familiar with digital. I just did this the other day. Someone who's, they're interested in learning about orthodontics, but you're not training them for the back because they're off to college in 2 months. We need someone who's proficient at photography, video editing, social media, and you'll learn everything about orthodontics that way, but this will be your role.
It's great. That's so smart. It's so wise. It's a great way to look at it. We have a question I wanted to get to. Somebody asked on here that I think is a great question. Jenny asked, for me, it's actually hard to know how many patients you actually get from social media. So how many dollars does it take to do or pay someone to keep it up? And what's the ROI on that? Now, Dovi, you mentioned that you look at probably last year about $100,000 in cases from social media. Right. How do you quantify that?
That is strictly from the people who wrote down that we saw you on Instagram.
So just by asking.
This is right. So every person that comes in, like they always say, if you're not measuring your marketing dollars, then you're wasting your money. Yep. So every person that comes in, the first thing that we ask them is, how did you hear about us? Now, that doesn't count anybody who may have been referred by a friend or someone said something nice, and then in their Google search or their Yelp search or Instagram, they saw some content of mine. Doesn't include that. It only includes people who mentioned first that they came through Instagram. And that doesn't include people who were referred by people who came from Instagram. But it does, recording that, and then it's hard to monetize. It's hard to calculate what your ROI is, but we keep it in house. We don't pay someone for it, and it's something that would be beneficial. I think it's beneficial even for your existing patients. Sometimes they learn about procedures that they've done. With Dr. Frost, people will, they learn about all the different types of things that he does, but maybe the gummy smile correction, people become aware and say, wow, this is possible. Like maybe they got a consultation 10 years ago and were told they can only have surgery. And now they see a post and they see a before and after, and it says non-surgical orthodontic treatment, and it opens their eyes. So for existing patients, I don't think the end goal is necessarily to make money. Although probably if I didn't have a practice or a way to make money through it, then I wouldn't do it, or at least that's what I tell myself. But I think that it's a way of it's like an email marketing. Some offices put all this effort into sending out emails once a month about what's new in the office. We'll just put it out there, and then people will take the 10 seconds to look at the photo or look at the video. And so I consider it also as just like existing marketing to existing patients or to existing doctors.
Yeah, I agree. I think that being able to use it as a strong marketing platform is obviously a very wise way to spend your dollars. I've suggested to docs before putting, if you're doing a promotion or whatever, you want to actually track that, obviously putting codes in there, certain hashtags, mention this to get your discount or to get your, liners or whatever you're going to do there. I want to go back to even hiring people. I've had offices go in and do a contest for social media ambassadors from their younger patients, right? To say, hey, for the summer, we're looking to hire social media ambassadors. Give us a plan of what you would do, and we're going to hire someone, and you're going to hire you for the whole month, and you're going to make $500 off the, at the end of the month. But you're going to walk us through different ways. Make sure you do a TikTok, and of course they've got to, have good branding and be somebody who is not showing one thing on their TikTok and showing one thing on yours, right? But that's where you can go through that. We had a couple of questions here. First of all, Tracy asked, what editing apps or programs do you like to use? And then we're going to piggyback on that. I think I know the answer to this because you've kind of alluded to this. At what cost did it, let me read that again. At what did it cost to get that $100,000? But from what you just said, you don't hire anybody outside, so that's all in-house.
Correct.
So your ROI is infinite because you spent nothing other than time to get that $100,000. Is that correct?
Yes. No outside agency. Although I don't think it's for someone who's starting out and maybe has no information about it. I would look to hiring an agency that would be supportive of providing the service, but also training. So maybe you're not hooked on them forever. One of the people that I know, Kyle Fagla, and his agency called Neon Canvas. They're very good at that, and I think that is a great way of just starting. So if they're not sure, but I love the content that people post, like that Dr. Frost does, is that's got to be personal to your office. So some of the things that I always say is never have a patient alone. Just like one photo of them. It doesn't give you any context. It's okay to have their before and after. It's okay to have them with one of your team members. It's okay to have them and a doctor. But I don't like seeing patients just alone by themselves. It's almost like you're hanging them out to dry. So
give a reason for the post. That's there.
Exactly.
Is there, Stuart, are there any specific apps that that your team uses or a software that you use to edit and to put that content out?
Yeah, I think, so I want to make two comments real quick. One is just so that we get a different perspective here. When I started in 2016, really going after this, I had a marketing person in my practice, and she was savvy on Photoshop. And she understood this a little bit, but she wanted to understand influencers in the space of Instagram. So what she did is she reached out to, we had some Molly Jane is some influencers. They're twin sisters, and they're in our community, and they had like 100,000 followers. So she reached out to them to bring them in to teach her how to do Instagram and how to do this and how to make posts.
Smart.
And we actually did a trade. I did a set of braces for one of them, and then they taught us how to do this. And so there's ways that you can use your existing team members to help you get started in this process as well. And this has just evolved over the last 5 years for our practice. So I do know that she uses Photoshop for most of her posts, as she's going to put posts together.
I think that's really wise. I just want to stop you there for a moment for people that really just want to emphasize this. In your specific area, in your city, if you're watching this right now, in your city or your surrounding city, there are micro influencers that you can reach out to, and probably 90% of your female junior high or high school patients know who that is. So if you don't know, just ask, and they will, and then you can connect with them. I have an office here who is also doing collabs with them, right? Having them do little posts and things about that. But it is a really great resource to help build up your following and to have that that social proof with an influencer. So I love that. Thanks for saying that.
Yes.
Sorry, there's a second thing you said you wanted to.
Oh, there was other little apps that I was using personally in the beginning that would take the photo and just shrink it so it fit in Instagram. But it's so easy now to shrink photos and do that. I can't remember what I've been using on those. So Dovi, you probably know better than
I know you like a lot of those weird filters with like the sunglasses and the mustaches and stuff like that.
Just the bunny ears and
the bunny ears and the throwing up rainbows and stuff. I know I've seen you do those, but yeah.
Some of the, I think what Stu was talking about, so one of them is called Square Ready, so that, even nowadays, Instagram will allow you to post any, even a wider photo, but it's still in the preview mode. When you're looking at someone's feed, it's still square. So it's worthwhile if you want to focus, if you want your content to focus in that form, then you can use something called Square Ready, which allows you to import a picture into there. So we use that. We use some collage apps sometimes, but usually I use, when I'm building pictures, and collages, I'll use Keynote or PowerPoint and build it off of a square slide. So I switch the slide to being a square, and then I can really put in full control of my computer, and then I send that picture to my phone through email or text message from my computer, and then upload it from there. So Keynote or PowerPoint, and that allows you like really full control. You can play with the dimensions of the photos. You can make them a little bit more translucent, so you can put one on top of the other and make sure that your ratios are exactly the same. That's when you're getting to really what we would call like more curated content.
Yeah, that's great. Do you guys schedule your content out like a week at a time or 2 weeks at a time, or is it all same day?
Go ahead, Stu.
So we do schedule out the Tuesdays for the transformation Tuesdays, and then we have probably about 3 or 4 days in advance we're working on what that content is. It's so interesting, and I want to say this, I think it's so important. If you're doing it like Dovi is, that's great, you can be in control, but for myself, who I would never have time to do it all myself, I'm involved in the content that's going out, and the wording and the phrasing is so interesting, because in the beginning, I was trying to use a lot of too technical terms, and I forgot who am I doing this for? This is for my Frost Smiles, is for the public and for people that don't know those terms, or I felt like I had to have a perfect case with perfect teeth and a perfect finish, and that's not what people are looking for. So I think it's important that everybody understand that, and just directing what the content is and helping the team members have a plan of what's going to be set. So at this point, we're maybe 3 or 4 days in advance, we're working on that. The Transformation Tuesdays, those are set out 5, 6, 7 weeks in advance.
And so with those transformations that you have on there, the people that, I'm just going to get technical now, I'm assuming you obviously do the whole like waivers, model waivers,
Yes.
and things like that. And what have you noticed the engagement when you actually add a patient and then tag them and stuff versus just, hey, Frost Smiles, we're doing something? Was there a difference that you've seen?
Yeah, I think that Dovi's the one that's been huge with this, because once you post a picture, or you make a post, when people start liking it or making comments on it, you really ought to reply back. And anytime I've made a comment to Dovi, he's always right then and there replied back, said thank you, or give me a big kiss on the cheek, a smooch or whatever. He likes to do that. I've got a picture of him in real life doing that. But the truth of the matter is when you reply back and engage somebody back, I think that starts to organically grow your following, and people really appreciate that. So the problem,
Absolutely.
One of the problems that happens is that the more you do this, and I know that, I don't know how Dovi manages his, but what happens is the more you post and share your content, people start messaging you. And when they message you, you really want to message them back and engage, and it becomes not a full-time job, but it's pretty, wouldn't you say, Dovi? It takes a lot of effort to message people back and engage with them.
It absolutely does. And I think, one of the things that I was saying before is that I think that for an Instagram or social media in general to be effective, I feel like it has to either come from the doctor or look like it's coming from the doctor.
Yeah, that's
because
a good point.
We have to understand, people aren't interested. They're not doing business in our situation. They're not doing business with a big corporation. They're doing it with a family-run business, and they want to know the people who are running this office, this family-run dental office. So it's got to look like it's from the doctor, or it's got to be from the doctor, or look like it's going to come from the doctors. So it's okay to have a social media manager. It's okay for that person to be the one that's responsible, responding to the messages. I happen to respond to mine. We've gotten some patients that way. When people engaging authentically with people who like and engage with our posts is it's kind of like reciprocating. When someone asks you how are you doing, you ask them how they're doing. And when you reciprocate, sometimes just those authentic interactions turn into new patients, or it might just turn into the fact that the person says, oh, this orthodontist that's in Mesa, Arizona, I don't live there, but I know if I had a friend that lived there, I'd be sending them to them. Now, some things that work completely in our favor is, number one, Los Angeles is a huge center for what we would call influencers. A lot of YouTubers here, there's a lot of people to reach out to, or a lot of people that have reached out to us. And that's often something that gets thrown back in my face is, okay, well, that works for you there in LA. So you have a large following and you've had influencers come in, and then when they come in and they give you a shout out, you grow by 1,000 followers overnight, or sometimes 4,000 overnight, which has been very helpful. And then doctors will say, how does that work for me? And so what I try to explain to them, which is what you said before about micro-influencers, but I say it in this way, is that everybody has some circle of influence, and therefore everybody is an influencer. And so if you can harness that power, and it's no different than what we would say, oh, a mom, one soccer mom tells the other soccer mom, I'm having a great experience at Dr. Frost's office. That's great. And what's even better, so I think that it's great for us to post on ours, and I think there's tremendous benefit from it. But welcoming and embracing our patients to post on their own social media is what is the gold standard, because now instead of only my audience, who everybody knows who follows me is an orthodontist, it's them posting about their. And so maybe someone who has 10,000 followers and no one who lives in Mesa is not that valuable to Frost Orthodontics, but a mom who has maybe 50 followers and 40 of them live in Mesa and 20 of them have kids, now your ROI is skyrocketing.
That's right. No, I think that's so smart. It's too often people don't think about it as a referral source, right? You spend so much time on the ask fors or referrals from your dentist in the area, or trying to get your current patients to give you referrals, which is great. But you have to think of Instagram, Facebook, any TikTok as something that can literally be a micro referral source. Like a spigot that you could turn on and off depending on how engaged you want to get, especially when you talk about, I'm from this area, I'm doing this here. Hey, I might be at this. You guys do go out to public events to be able to say, hey, I'm going to be at this public event. Come see me. Love to talk to you. You have no idea what that influence can have. It's so powerful. I love this. I want to ask you real fast. Do you guys ever boost or spend money on ads, or is it just all organic that you've done so far?
So I don't do any boosts on my at Frost Smiles. I think that we've done a little bit at the Dr. Stuart Frost for some of our courses that we put in office courses.
Yes.
But most of the at Frost Smiles, we don't boost anything.
Yeah. Similarly, I boosted in the past, maybe a few years ago, when there was, you know, when back in the days when I thought, oh, I'll boost this post and like 30 people will call the office. It doesn't really work like that. But I don't think there's anything wrong with boosting posts, and I don't think there's anything wrong with advertising on Instagram in order to get some traction or to do a specific targeted campaign for a specific procedure or for specific time. And there are some, you know, it's not my wheelhouse, but there are a lot of different companies that can provide that. And I think if you're like looking towards doing specific targeted campaigns, you know, with redirecting people to your website, at that point, it's probably best to have the professionals at least assist you in setting it up so that it can be run effectively.
Yeah.
I would also add that for those of you that do get into this, and maybe the more you get into it, you're going to have people that will reach out that will be like, hey, I can get you, you know, 10,000, 20,000 likes overnight, blah, 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 and be just very, very skeptical of them. I would say don't do it because, and here's a way to test them. My daughter actually taught me this. If they have 30,000 followers and then you go and check out their content and they have like 2 engagements or 2 likes on their post, it's most likely a bot system, or it's somebody they live in Brazil or they live in, you know, Philippines or whatever. Don't go down that route. Build it organically. It doesn't do you any good to do it otherwise. So I think it's really important to be careful to look out for those as well. I wanted to ask, let's get on to some engagement stuff. Some of the engagement areas that you have used to connect with your patients, especially during this time. Right now, we've been talking a lot about what you've been doing in normal work times, right? And right now we're in a very odd space. So I believe that those who win this game, which it is a game, in the after, are the ones who will prepare now and have the most engagement with their patients. Let them know they're still here, they're still taking care of them, they're still educating them. I mentioned Stuart's game that they're playing, the March Madness. There's no real March Madness, so they made up their own March Madness, which was brilliant. What are some of the most successful engagement post and contest or opportunities that you have done with your Instagram that you've seen the most success out of?
Well, this is one with the March Madness and taking celebrities and have one show their smile and you show another celebrity and have people say which one they like the smile the best. And then we break it down until there's a grand champion or a winner of March Madness of who that smile is. We did that last year. That was really great. There's been some others that I think have been really fun. In fact, right now we're doing one on my personal. So when I started my at Frost Smiles, I started like 3 or 4 years after I did my at Dr. Stuart Frost. And for the longest time, I was 7,000 followers and my Frost Smiles was 3,000. And then as we've done more posts and more engagements, the Frost Smiles is now way out. I think we're at 13 or 14,000 followers. I just hit organically 10,000 followers. I'm like, oh, this is so exciting. And so my gal that does my social media said, let's do something fun that will, thank everybody and get them excited about you hitting 10,000. So what we did is that we did something about me. And I think it's really important. If you're going to do something that wants to boost posts, do something about the doctor, his family. Right now on my personal, we're doing the guy that's in New York City that's holding up the signs everywhere at my sign. I don't even know exactly. I've seen it, but so what we're doing is I put up a bunch of signs, posts that says, okay, Dr. Frost has 31 of what? And then one sign was Dr. Frost has the number 8 means what to him. And people are guessing what that is. And so everybody's guessing. There's like 100 people that have guessed what does 8 mean to Dr. Frost. And it's that I have 8 children, or the fact that 13,000 is the number of cases I finished in my 20-year career. And so it's been really fun to engage. And I think if you're going to do something that wants to engage people, do something about the doctor or about your family or personalities. We did one when Dr. Nichols joined our practice, and we did something that is like, what are the 3 things that are Dr. Nichols' favorite things to do? And everybody had to guess, or which one was Dr. Frost's, which one was Dr. Nichols, you know, who likes to lift weights every single day? Well, that's Dr. Nichols, of course, right? So anything that you can do to engage people to get to know the doctors better and their family, I think is really huge. That's been fun.
I love that idea. The more personal, I love that.
I think that's really,
what are some of your successful campaigns?
That's a good point. We did what was really effective a while back. We would do where we had some of these really huge YouTubers. We'd come in, and then we'd have, like, you know, the pop sockets that we have for our office. We had them autographed by the YouTuber. Forget the doctor. They're like, you know,
Nice.
So we've had that, and we got some really tremendous engagement on that. And then I love when I see people like the summertime when they do like that flat Stanley where they print out a flat picture. I have one of Dr. Glazer in New York. He sent me one time. I was like, oh, I want to be a part of it, of your contest. And so you take a picture of him actually. And for the longest time, I had his little, his avatar of himself in my white coat, and I'd walk around with that for like a year, I think. So I can think that's it's a very cute way of getting the kids involved, even the adults, but getting your patients involved and bringing the doctor with you. So I happen to love that. But I think other giveaways are also very effective. I think giveaways, not that I've personally done this, but giveaways like to other local businesses. A friend of mine in Oregon, Dr. Chevital, he just did a giveaway for like a local running shop for $150 to someone who is for the most engagements or the most likes, or tag 2 friends, and we'll pick someone at random. And so I think that's very, very nicely done. And that's kind of like paying it forward, as Dr. Frost would say. And then sometimes I've seen Grant Collins do like giveaways with teeth whitening, where you can get those opalescence Go, where it's a standard universal tray, and they do giveaways on that. So I think giveaways are a very effective way of, number one, getting your numbers up. So you could do an in-office giveaway. This actually kind of parlays into how would someone get their numbers up in the first place. And I think that number one, the first goal is to get all of your patients to follow you. Now, if they know that there's something out of it, or they can gain out of it, either through education or marketing or a nice product, then that's a great way of doing it. And then, so that would be number one, just getting your thing following that's in real life, get them to cross over to the digital platform. And then similarly, getting like the local neighborhood and maybe your followers and their friends to interact with a post that would include some type of incentive or giveaway.
So when you do first of all, when you were saying about making sure all of your clients or your patients follow you, I mean, I just ran the numbers quick in my head of just like, geez, if you're thinking about even getting 10% of your people to follow, if you really did a campaign about that, you'd build up your followers pretty dang quickly if you really made a concentrated effort on doing that. Did giveaways, even, you know, just asking. A lot of people will do it because you asked them, you know, and you just say, hey, like, let's say I did it. I do a TC sales training. I was out there once, we were talking about this and saying, look, just go over to the chair with the person if they've signed the waiver already, the model release, and just take 5 seconds to take a selfie with them. Say, hey, let's do a selfie together. Look, here's little, Johnny on his office visit today. Hey, Johnny, is it okay if I tag you? Yeah, I'm going to tag you. And now you just got engagement, and you've created that opportunity there. You can do that with all of your team members.
I think you make a very, very good point. For someone that comes to it naturally, it's good. But I myself am always afraid of just putting our patients up to it without having that relationship. So we don't ask, in my office, we actually not happen to ask people, although I don't think it's wrong. I just think it's important to respect that, the privacy, although very often, who in the, I think what you're saying is true. Is like, in the office who's open to it. Some of the ways that I say, I used to work for an office that said, I don't mind having a no cell phone policy for the employees, but the cell phone policy of like telling kids to put their phone away, I think is completely wrong. I think us as doctors just have to learn to work around that. Like, dude, if they're up there taking a selfie while you're working, then that's like that taking a free ad out in the yellow pages for you every time they're in. And if they're having a good experience, then those are the type of people that you want. So one of our rules is we never tell the kids to put the phone away. And that's the window to the world, right? I'm in this office building. There's 50 other doctors there. I'm on the 7th floor. No sign. My name is this small in the directory. How in the heck are they going to find me? So by getting that word out is great. But we don't necessarily like hijack them. Oh, we got a selfie. But that concept of knowing who, yes, but of knowing who is okay to do it, and then being sensitive to it, and not and at this point now the patients are interested. Oh, we want to do this. Oh, I want to do a reveal video. I would love if Dr. Frost would talk about that.
Yeah, I was going to segue to that too. Thank you for saying that too. I think that's so important. So Stu, one of the things that I really like about what you guys have done is the reveal. I talk about that all the time, the smile reveals. I think it is not smart business for doctors not to do it. I proselytize that sector, man, because I think it's just really, really wise. You're showing your work. What industry doesn't do that? And so I think it's really smart. And I know we had talked previously about having a little bit of a video that you'd like to share.
Yeah, I'm not prepared on that, but let me just say this. Dovi and Grant were the kings of this. And for me, for the first, 16 years of my practice, it was really strange. For me, I didn't like to bang a drum, or I don't play an instrument, or when they're, getting braces off, and I didn't know what to do to celebrate people getting their braces off. And I would just say, this is a fantastic smile. You have a beautiful Frost smile. And, as I was watching Dovi show how he would take the braces off and do a smile reveal, or Grant Collins, where Grant would walk them down the red carpet to the smile reveal, I started thinking, there's got to be a way that fits for me, that is exciting, that's organic to me and what I want to do. And so a few years ago, I had a patient named James, and he was a surgical case, and James was getting his braces off, and we just we were hyping this up. He became friends with our girls in our practice, and so it was really organic. We just handed him a mirror, and the girls were like, "Don't look yet, look, James, don't look." And it was so fun because he was getting all excited. He was pumped up. The music was going, and then he flipped the mirror, and there was a smile, and he was like, "No way, are you kidding me?" And he's like, he might have said a cuss word or two, or I don't know, but it was so exciting and fun that I've been able to share that on social media, and his smile was just like fantastic. But I think that these smile reveals have become something that I've learned from Dovi and from Grant Collins and a few others, that have become some of the most rewarding type of social media posts that I've ever done. In fact, most of these adults that we have, and adult females, many of them start to cry. And if you can capture that, oh my gosh, if you capture that emotion, because what we're doing, I think everybody thinks we're lining up teeth and we're, we're tooth straighteners or whatever. That's not what we're doing. We're building confidence in people. We're changing self-esteems. We're giving people back what they've lost in their life. And that moment that they get the braces off and they see themselves for the first time, I mean, the opportunity to see themselves differently, it's magical. Yes. And to record that is huge.
It's amazing.
It's a gift for them.
Yeah,
it's a gift for them. And I think Dr. Frost does it in a way where it's showing what the effect that it does on the patient. And some doctors do. I've seen everybody should feel comfortable doing it in their own way. But I think what's most effective is capturing the moment and displaying the relationship between the patient and the team and the doctor. And that's what makes you say at the end, this maybe older woman has a beautiful smile now. She is emotional about it. She's expressed her gratitude to the team and to the doctor, and everybody is happy for her. And all of those emotions captured tell the story in an instant, and even better than an email marketing or better than a campaign, and it says to the viewer that I want a Frost smile, because I know that what it leads to in the end is a life-changing experience surrounded by employees that become family.
Yeah.
100%. You know how I said at the very beginning about asking for your story, because I think the stories connect us all. You're exactly right, Dovi. In that moment, you see that person's story. You might not know all of the details, but you know there is a connection to, oh my gosh, I finally got this moment. And like you said, whether it be that older person, male or female, who never really smiled because they were ashamed of their teeth, that opportunity to be in that moment with them is so cool. I remember I first saw it at Dr. Eric Curtis out of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Great guy. He does this. He displays this in the right above the chairs. So wherever anybody's sitting there, he displays them over and over again, just on loop. And I went, that is the best marketing ever, because you're seeing the thing that you want.
Endpoint.
And so when you do it here, that's something everyone stops scrolling when they see that, just for those few seconds to see them do that. So it's so smart.
It works. And tell you a secret, it works better when they have big metal braces on their teeth, because the transformation is so much more powerful. I hate to say it, but there's nothing like braces.
Yeah.
That's true. It's true, because they see now something completely different. What's that?
Oh, nothing. Dovi's the Invisalign man. He understands the power of braces as well.
That's right. Well, we've come up onto our hour, a little past that. I just want to thank you guys so much for being a part of this. I've seen the comments in here. So many people getting great information from you all, and being able to kind of ride those coattails of like, oh, okay, I can do that now. I saw people in here talking about, oh, that's a great idea. I want to do that. If you have any parting words when it comes to that engagement with your patients, and what you would advise for right now and this time to do, what would those be?
I would say, number one, I'll take it first and let Stu finish. I would say just start. It's almost like, the website, how the website, back in the day, it was so important to have a website. And the question is, how am I just have one? I would say just start, and then you'll figure out how you can integrate it in your own practice. Just start. One is greater than nothing.
To put a button on that before we get to Stuart, again, your Instagram handle, at Dovi Prero, right?
At Prero Orthodontics.
At Prero Orthodontics, sorry.
Yeah.
Do you have a personal one that I can? No.
My personal one is D Prero. If you want spam of all my kids, then you can go there. And probably if I would have done it over again, I probably would have done it at Dr. Dovi Prero, because that's what people like when they come into my office. They like type in, oh, Dr. Prero. But I just got to stick with it.
So because I know people are wrapping up, I want to make sure people go there and get you over that 35,000 or 56,000. What was it?
That's right. 35.
I'm dyslexic, so I get numbers mixed up. I want to throw, and Stuart, before you start, I want you to put yours up there too, just for anybody watching too. Mine is Dino_Watt, at Dino_Watt. And if you want to see me dancing by myself in a driveway, you'll totally see that there. You'll see some crazy stuff that I put up there. Stuart, yours is what, and what's your final parting words?
First of all, you want to see Dino, not Dovi. Dino, you want to see him dance, because he can dance. Okay. At Frost Smiles is my practice Instagram. At Dr. Stuart Frost is my personal brand Instagram. Hey, I would just say to people in the end here, what people need right now on Instagram or Facebook or both, is they need leadership. They want to see leadership from us. Our patients want to see that we're a leader of our practice and that we are not afraid of what's going on. And they want to see that we're concerned about them. And what I would encourage you to do is just post videos about that. And I would encourage you also to be authenticity, have authenticity. But be authentic when you post. Don't just throw things out there, but do things that are real, that make and add value to people, just like Dovi does, and share with other people and build others. I think that's what this is all about.
So true. Love it. So true. Be authentic, be yourself. I think that's the best social media stuff. That's the stuff I love to follow myself as well. By the way, either one of you, well, Stuart, I know you're on TikTok now. What about you, Dovi?
Yeah, I have a few. I absolutely love TikTok. I have just a few videos on there, and then even just with my daughters, we use it as just like a fun thing to do, even if we don't post them on the practice, which they have no interest in being there. But it's a really fun app to enjoy. I think Grant Collins and the Bentist they're the king. They took my advice and ran with it, and so I'll leave it up to them.
Yeah, for those of you watching right now, everything I'm reading, all the statistics show that TikTok's algorithm is killer. It's amazing. And if you're not on TikTok, get on it right now. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, those are your leads. I don't tweet, but Twitter's also out there. But to show off what you do, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, get on there right now. Well, gentlemen, again, thank you so much for your time and your wisdom. I know so many people got great notes. Somebody on here said that they have a full list of notes to take to their doctor tomorrow. So thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. I'd be happy if anybody has any follow-up information, they can just DM me. And if you like something that you see on my page, go ahead and copy it. If you want to give me a shout out, that's fine. If not, just tailor it to what works for your office. And I'll say this before, I said it once before with you, Dino, the best conference that I ever spoke with the most engaged audience was when you were the MC at PCSO in Hawaii. And I think you coming and setting the stage for what us as speakers need to feel from an audience in order to be able to give more and to be selfless really set the tone for a meeting that I had never seen before. So if there's anybody out there who runs a meeting, who is interested in having a dynamic MC that can really change a meeting, it was the first time I got a standing ovation. Maybe Dr. Frost gets standing ovations all the time. But having a standing ovation, it caught me by surprise, and it just made me want to give more, and it's the tone that you set. So I really appreciate that. And I look forward to going into another meeting that you MC.
It's going to be coming up here. He's doing the PCSO this year.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be PCSO again. If it well, let's just say it's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Yes, it's going to happen.
Sure.
We're going to be out of quarantine by then. Well, I appreciate you saying that very much so. Everyone else listening, before we wrap up, don't forget tomorrow I have the Facebook Live with Avery Spencer. Going to get all your social media content put together. I mean, the stuff she's shown me that she's put together is insane to have you guys take a look at. We're going to do that tomorrow at 4 o'clock as well. And then Friday, go register at dinowatt.com/virtual101 for the virtual training day CE credit. If you want it for free in the sense of the videos, the recordings, you have to register. So go register right now and get that done. Tell your doctors about it. Even if you can't make it because you're in the SBA line filling out the paperwork, come see part of it. Be a part of it. That's going to be great. Thank you, gentlemen, again so much. Everybody have an amazing night. We will see you on the next Facebook Live tomorrow.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks so much again for listening to the Propreneur Podcast. We really appreciate your support. If you haven't subscribed already, please make sure you do so. Also, if you feel like you might be a good fit for our podcast as a guest or know somebody who you think would be, go ahead and email us at dino@dinowatt.com. Again, thanks for support. We'll see you on the next episode.